We're talking with Camille Raia on our program, and she's sharing an awful lot with us, and talking about her story and also the road back from this traumatic experience that she and her family have been through. Keeping your, for lack of a better term, mental stability during all of this. What was that like?
To say I was upset is an understatement.
I would think so, yes.
So I think no matter how normal and grounded you are, one would be upset and be allowed that. But I am grateful, as I said before, of what I've learned about myself, that I'm just not made to break. I mean, if you had told me before this all happened that this would happen, I would have been, oh my God, I can't deal with this. No. But you don't really know what strength you have until you have to deal with it. And I dealt with it because I didn't just pack up and run away, and mostly because I wanted to keep that stability and not have my kids feel like that they have to hide or run away from the community, to keep their heads up high. And I felt like the phoenix bird, just kind of opening my wings and hovering over my children, protecting them from the fire as I fought through with tears and anxiousness. And it's not that I didn't break down and cry, but I didn't break down. My logical thinking, my rational thought never broke down. That was always intact. I always kept my eye forward, though it was difficult sometimes to push through because of the emotions, but I kept going. And from the fire then just kind of evolved. But it was traumatic and painful for all of us, and particularly the children. My daughter, when this all happened in the summer of 2008, she had just graduated elementary school. She was just about to start middle school, which is a very hard time under normal circumstances for girls. And so to have all that chatter and talk about the dad, and
Yes.
and the self-esteem of children is based on what their parents are about. So I needed to give that to my children. I needed to model, okay, Dad's not a bad person, but he did a bad thing. And, and it's not all about, you've got also me, and I'm going to model for you guys strength, endurance, resilience that you can be proud of, and you can take that, internalize, and grow with that. And that was my incentive, my motivation, or at least part of it.
Final question for you, because you've been very kind with your time. This is a natural one, and to some extent I think you've answered this, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because some of the people listening to us may be wondering. A situation like what you went through, given the right circumstances, could this happen to anybody?
Oh, most certainly. Most certainly. I mean, when you how you just, if you're working with other people, or you have trust in other people, and you believe what's said and you rely on that, of course it could happen. It doesn't make you stupid. It doesn't make you dishonest. It's just that it makes you vulnerable, that the people you rely on can do something that could be very damaging to you personally. So, yes, I mean, of course, it could happen to anybody. And particularly when there is that extra trust, particularly in a marriage, or even when you're just friends, you certain give, a certain deference as to what that person is doing. It's so important knowing that, to be guarded, and not to be where you can't have that trust, but only to an extent, not to be so foolishly, openly trust, not to be like a child, and so trusting, and that's what I have learned from this, and I guess maybe having grown in a more privileged way at the time, and my mother had a doctorate in French, came over here after marrying my dad from Italy, and basically my father took over everything. This is kind of I had grown with that to be able to, or that was basically my lack of growth, was just not having to ever been exposed to any sort of trauma like that, or the different psyche of people. I was very naive, and it's important not to be. It's important to love people, trust people, but realize people have issues, and you don't just take them for their face value. And it took having this experience to learn that. So I needed to learn that, and I regret very much what had happened.
Camille, thank you very much for your time and also for sharing your words with us today, because your words are very powerful. The story is one that can definitely provide a lesson for a lot of the people listening to us as well. And we wish you continued success on your journey back.
I am so grateful, Bob, that you took an interest in giving me this opportunity to talk, and I'm very, very grateful and appreciative of that. Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us on our program this Sunday morning. You know what program's coming up next. After our 8 o'clock update, Rick Wolf is along with the Sports Edge, and Malusis and Deal are by with the Football Sunday Show after 9 this Sunday morning.